Then let me start the session. Today, we will discuss about the Pathyas and apathyas in skin diseases. So far, we have discussed about the basic principles and practices that are used mainly in Ayurvedic dermatology and the topical therapy and the various pediatric skin diseases. Today, the session is mainly based upon the Pathyas and apathyas in skin diseases. During the discussion of the basic principles itself, we have discussed about the Pathyas and apathyas in a very slight manner. But this is very important session because if we follow a correct treatment, then also there is a chance of aggravation or exacerbation because of the apathyas. While we are doing the treatment, if the patient consumes some apathyas, then chances of the aggravation of the skin disease is there. Then we have to consider the basic principles again, and the treatment will be restarted again. Like that, complications will happen. So, while describing the basic principles itself, the Pathyas and apathyas are very important, very relevant, and while dealing the patients in practical sense, we have to advise them very strictly what are the Pathyas and apathyas. Otherwise, if we correctly, according to basic principle itself, we are prescribing the medicines, then also the chances of aggravation is there. You see, actually, we can see the role of diet in health and in ill health, we can see in various portions of our classes. Systematic descriptions on quantity, quality, and time of intake of food are very detailed in our classes. Though they are discretely distributed in various aspects of our basic principles, the quantity that should be very average, and the quality should be nourishing, and time should be very particular. Matra Shidhiya is very relevant. So these are the basic principles about the diets, and the dietetics also very detailed, very detailed manner that is described in classes. So you see, while we are describing that Mityahara Viharena Visheshena Virodhina, we have to understand that Mityahara Vihara Visheshena Virodhi may come under Hina Matra, Adimatra, Pramita Bhojana, Viruddhasana, Annasana, diet that Vished Dosha, Dhadu, Sodas by quality. These are all the various types of apathyas we are consuming in our daily practice. So these are all will create disturbance at the level of dosha, dhatu, srodas, and that will create disturbance at the level of saptadravyas, and that will disturb the structural and functional aspects of skin, and that is the main cause behind the skin diseases. So, while discussing the basic principles, we have discussed about the systematic diagnosis, how we have to diagnose a case with respect to the Sampraptic Hadakas. These are very closely related. That is why I am telling this relevant factor again and again. The status of the patient with a special reference to the Samprapti should be assessed initially with respect to Pradilomata, Amatva, Agnimandya, Dosha Buddhi, Dhadu Vaishamya, and Srodo Dushti. These are the various factors. The patient will have the alterations in these Samprapti Ghadakas. The same mode of Samprapti Ghadakas will not be there. The priority may vary. Though the priority may vary, these are the Samprapti Ghadakas involved in all the patients. So we have to assess the patients in with respect to these factors. Then you see, we have to intervene. We have to intervene the patient with the help of drugs that can do anulomana, amabhajana, deepana, doshashamana, dhatu prasadana, ojo vruddhikrit. These are the basic principles behind the bridging between the theory and practice. So you see, these are the very relevant factor. That is why I am repeating this factor. Then you see, while we are prescribing medicine for anulomana, amabhajana, deepana, doshashamana, and dhatu prasadana, ojo vruddhi, we have to prescribe certain food items also that can do. These are the for this factor we are doing using various medicines that can pharmacologically do anulomana, amabhajana, deepana, doshashamana, dhatu prasadana, ojo vruddhi. These are the pharmacological actions of the drugs that we are giving. Then you see the preparations. Food that can reverse. Food that can reverse means food also should support. That is the main factor, the basic principle behind the dietetics. That food item should support the medicines we are prescribing, medicines we are administering. Internally, what medicine we are prescribing, that food item should support these food items, these medicines. So you see, while a patient requiring anulomana, while a patient requiring amabhajana, we will prescribe some certain medicines for anulomana and amabhajana. At the same time, you see, food preparations that can do anulomana, bhajana, and deepana. While we are giving medicines for anulomana, bhajana, and deepana, we should not give him this oily and brahmanagara aharas. While giving a amabhajana, this Shatanga Kashaya or Amrotari Kashaya, patient should not take chicken biryani. You see, at the same time, the food should be doing anulomana, bhajana, and deepana. The basic principle is, while we are prescribing, while we are administering a amabhajana, anulomana, and deepana drug, the food should supplement or support the pharmacodynamics of drugs. So that is why we are prescribing manda, peya, vilebi, yavagu, yusha initially by giving the amabhajana and anulomana and deepana drugs. But you should remember the quotation that peya kapham vardayati, peya kapham vardayati, pangam pamsushu vruddhivat, vrishtivat, pangam pamsushu vrishtivat. So basically, though these food items can do anulomana, bhajana, and deepana, at the same time, these may aggravate the quantity of kapha, or that may reduce the deepana quantity, and that may aggravate the chances of ama. That is the problem. So we should give manda, peya, vilebina prayoga with the help of these medicines, processed with these medicines. All these you know, I think. Basically, I am just reminding you, these are the basic ingredients that can be added, that can be processed with this type of anulomana, amabhajana, and deepana drugs. Mustaga, Indrayava, Ardraga, Shunti, Dhanyaga, Jiraga, Kulatha, Mudga, Ela, Ilavanga. These are all the medicines that can do anulomana. Sometimes some drugs may have more anulomana, sometimes some may have more amabhajana quality. So you should take whichever the patient is needed much. If the patient needed amabhajana, you can use mustaga. If the patient needed adivana, then you may take ardraga or shundi. Pitta shamana they needed dhanyaga you may take. Sama pitta shamana dhanyaga. Anilomana jiraga. Ushnavirya kulatha. Like that, we may process the proper food items with these medicines initially. So at the same time, you should avoid these items that can hinder the Amavajana, Anilomana, and Divana. Initially, food should be Amavajana, Anilomana, and the Divana. These items, the junk food and fast food items, or curd, milk items, all this will hinder the Amavajana and Divana or Anilomana. So you should tell the patient, or you should advise the patient to avoid these food items. That is very, very important. Otherwise, if we prescribe same very medicines with very, very appropriate basic principles, then also the chances of aggravation is there. The chances of aggravation exists because of the use of these types of apathy aharas. So strictly you should compel the patient to avoid these items. Especially you consider in the case of atopic dermatitis. Atopic dermatitis, we are prescribing so many medicines, Amavajana drugs, Divana drugs, and Dosha Shamana drugs, Srodha Shuddhikara drugs, like so many drugs we are prescribing daily, but we are not strictly advising the patient to avoid some type of food items. They will take milk, they will take curd, they will take a black gram, fermented this pishta aharas, dosha, idli. In Kerala we are using dosha and idli. In Tamil Nadu also they are using dosha and idli. Fermented black gram. Ferment the food items paired with fermented black gram. That these all items will increase the amatva inside the body, and that will hinder the Amavajana and Divana. So there is no use in giving these medicines. If we are not restricting the patient with advising these to avoid these items, there is no use to give medicines. So you should advise clearly. You should avoid these food items. Intention of Patyakalpanas means sometimes initially the intention is the Amavajana, Anilomana, and Divana. After that, sometimes along with that, or sometimes after that, we should advise the patients some particular food items that can reverse the samprapti, that can supplement that can support the medicines for dosha shamana, dhatu prasadana, sodo shuddhikarana, or rasayana. You see, while you are giving a kapapitta shamana drug, at the same time, the food items the patients are using more that much. That food items also should have the property to reduce the kapha-pitta. Food items the patient is using, that should do anilomana, and along with that, that food items should have the property of dosha shamana, also dhatu prasadana, and the sodo shuddhikarana, dasayana property. Certainly, we are telling that aushadha is virya pradhana and ahara is jasa pradhana. Ahara is jasa pradhana. No problem. We can advise that food items, ahara. But if that is supportive to food, the drugs that are using by doing the dosha shamana, dhatu prasadana, and sodo shuddhikarana, that is well and good. That is well and good. That is why I am telling, if they are utilizing the food items, we have to frame the food pattern or food items which should supplement dosha shamana, dhatu prasadana, and sodo shuddhikarana. For example, if the patient should take rasa shuddhikarana, patient is taking drugs for rasa prasadana, we have to supplement some drugs, aharas, which can do rasa prasadana. At the same time, we should avoid some food items which hinder rasa prasadana. You see, especially these leafy vegetables can do, they are Tikta Shagas. Tikta Shagas can pacify Pitta and Rakta. Rakta Vruddhi and Pitta Vruddhi can be pacified with the help of Tikta Shagas, especially Punarnava, Shigru, Tender Neem, Tender Araguda, Kalasaga, Vastuga, Chira. These items can pacify Pitta, Rakta Vruddhi. So, don't use in much quantity. Don't use in much quantity. Very small quantity if we are using, that will support the drugs. You see, patola, brihadi, bitter gourd, pumpkin, carrot, sweet potato. These are all supportive to these dosha shamana. At the same time, for dosha shamana, these are very useful. At the same time, srodha shuddhikarana and this dhatu prasadana. For dhatu prasadana, these items are very relevant because in the case of dhatu prasadana, the presence of micro elements and vitamins are very relevant. So these items contain various quantity of micro elements and vitamins, minerals, etc. So by using these items in our daily food practice, they can enrich the dhatu prasadana. After purifying the dhadus by the help of bhajana drugs, that bhajana itself will purify sometimes in some patients, bhajana itself will make efficient dhadus. Then at that time, the dhadus need proper nourishment, proper micro elements and vitamins in rich quantity. After bhajana and divana and anilomana, if we are providing these leafy vegetables and tikta shagas and these other vegetables like patola, brikadi, carrot, pumpkin, sweet potato, these all will contain, they all are containing the rich quantity of micro elements and vitamins. These all will do the prasada of dhatus. These are also, you see, legumes, beans, green gram, brown peas, chickpea, kidney beans, soya. These are the items that can provide protein. Actually, you see, in some patients, protein allergy is there. So the egg protein can aggravate. Egg protein exacerbates the condition. So in these patients, we can advise the patient to use the vegetable proteins like green gram, brown peas, chickpea, kidney beans, soya beans. So actually, in coming slides, I have described about the function of this protein. Actually, in the functional and structural integrity of the skin, the presence of protein is very important. With the help of these proteins, the functional integrity and structural integrity of the skin is maintained. So for that, after doing the proper bhajana and anilomana and divana, or after doing the shodhana, if we provide proper vitamins and minerals and proteins, that itself will heal the condition. For the healing purpose of the skin, there is no other drugs are needed sometimes, especially in the case of children. If we are doing proper shodhana, and after the prashodhana, if we are providing proper micro elements and protein properly, then that itself will heal the skin. So after the role of protein also is very relevant. You see, the carbohydrates, especially shashteshali, jeeragashala, gandhagashala, millet, these are the carbohydrate items with the husk. You see, rice bran is very rich in potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, sulfur, zinc, micro elements. These micro elements are very essential for the functional and structural integrity of skin. So if we are using these grain varieties with the presence of their brand husk, if we are using them, that will contain the potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, sulfur, zinc. These are micro elements mainly contained in these carbohydrate items. Along with the rice items, millets also we can do. Millets. So in Kerala we are using muttari or ragi, like so. These items contain rich quantity of microelements which are necessary for the functional and structural integrity of skin. So after purification, we can provide these green varieties. In the case of fruits, we can sometimes some these fruit items which are containing more amla or like pineapple, that may aggravate or that may trigger some skin diseases. Some in some patients only. In other patients, normally these fruit items will not trigger some skin conditions. We should assess the patient. If they are having allergy, we should avoid that items. Otherwise, if they are not having allergy to fruit items, we can advise these items. They are very rich in vitamin C and vitamin A. So these can heal the skin condition very properly. Non-vegetarian items are not contraindicated in the case of skin conditions, but some fish items, some egg and some chicken items, they are causing triggering in some cases. Mutton is not contraindicated actually. That is Brahmana Kara, and that will nourish the skin. After purification of the skin, after purification of the internal body, systematic and systemic purification, we can provide the ajamamsa processed with tribala, patola, and gadira, nimba. If we are providing these items after proper purification, that will nourish the skin, and that will food processing is very relevant in some conditions to do brahmana of the skin. In some cases, in exceptional cases, the chance of triggering is there, but normally or generally in 90%, 95% cases, honey is a very good probiotic. Probiotic means that will support the common cells, that is the organisms growing in our body, in our gut. The organisms growing in our gut, that bacteria is very relevant for the structural and functional normalcy of our skin. For proper absorption of microelements and vitamins, these organisms are very relevant. So the use of honey or use of probiotic items, that will support the common cells in our body, and that will nourish the friendly bios in our body, and that will support our nourishment, and that will nourish in turn our skin also. While the milk, in the case of milk products, you see, among the milk products, curd and milk are not supportive to skin diseases. That means the chances of aggravation is there, chances of triggering is there. In the case of curd and milk, takra we can prescribe. Takra is very essential for the proper srodoshodhana, and that will nourish the skin also. While prescribing takra, we can tell them boiled with haridra or this marija, haridra marija processed takra, or baguji vedanga processed takra. These are all very essential, or these are very excellent milk products for the healing of the skin. You see, though this is a controversial factor, use of plenty of water. You see, if we use plenty of water, then some doctors are telling that is very good for the rehydration of the skin. Rehydration. Some are telling that the drinking of water will not support the rehydration, but the rehydration will be supported by external water application only, or a kashaya application only. So the use of water in a regular dose, that is very essential for the rehydration. Practically, it is seen that the drinking of water with processed with this dhanyaga or jeeraga, they are very essential for the proper pharmacodynamics of the drugs we are prescribing. For anilomana, if we are giving dhanyaga, this jeeraga processed water or dhanyaga processed water, then that will support the process of pitta shamana or anilomana or like that. So drinking plenty of water processed with some anilomana or pajana drugs, that is very important. So as I told earlier, the basically the food item should be bioenhancer. Bioenhancer means our food item will contain vitamins, minerals, carbohydrate, protein, like that. So many nourishment will that will contain. So actually, they should be absorbed properly and metabolized properly and reached to the tissue level. Then only the nourishment happens. Patients will have always, there will be some obstructions at the various levels to hinder the digestion, metabolism, or tissue absorption, like that. So if we are taking food items, if they are not contain any bioenhancer, that will not be reached up to the level of tissue. That is why patients are not getting proper relief by only using these drugs only. Drugs are capable of doing these anilomana and pajana and devana, then the proper nourishment will not happen with the help of food. So along with that, we should add some bioenhancing drugs like musta, vaja, marija, jeeraga, like that. The pajana, devana, aushadha should be added in our food items. By that, we can ensure that these items are reaching up to the level of tissue for the nourishment. Otherwise, they will subside their appetite. Other than that, that will not reach up to the level of tissue. So, if we are using food items, the presence of bioenhancers should be ensured. A carbohydrate, protein, fatty acids, I think you all know the role of these items in the functions and the structure of skin, especially the structural and functional integrity of the accessory structures of skin. The role of carbohydrate, protein, and fatty acids very relevant. So these items, obviously our food items will be containing all these items, but they will not reach up to the level of skin. That is the problem. So we have to add bioenhancers initially, and along with the food items, if possible, we should add some drugs also. Drugs that can help or support the proper traveling of these nourishments. The role of vitamins B, A, B, and C, I have described all. I think all of you know the role of vitamins in the processing of the skin. Zinc, selenium, potassium, manganese. These are the basic micro elements. You see, in an experiment, some scientist has done a experiment with these items. By avoiding these microelements, he had grown some types of these frogs in a lab. He found that that type of frogs which are not taking these type of microelements, the skin of these types of frogs, he found that that is forming very, very dry, and gradually that is accumulated with some types of lichenified appearance over that skin, and formation of ulcers are there like that. From this, we can assess that the role of the microelements are very relevant in the structural formation and functional formation of skin. So it is essential, very essential. We have seen that the bran of these grains that contains these types of microelements, and we have to use if we use the white rice that contains that does not contain these microelements, and we are not getting the properly. So after the proper purification, if we advise the patient to take whole grain items, then that will heal the skin. Flavonoids, probiotics, omega-6 and 3, antioxidants, these are all the items contain the vegetables contain flavonoids, probiotics, the omega-6 and 3. We know that the fish oil that contain antioxidants. These triphala is the rich with antioxidants. Like that, the gooseberries, we can advise use of gooseberries, amla. These are the very, very relevant items which can be advised for the proper healing process of the skin. So along with our drug items, we can advise these food items also. You see their role: structural integrity, functional integrity. You see, this is very important. Transepidermal water loss. So the transepidermal water loss is the basic principle behind the function of all the skins. Through the epidermis, we are losing the water regularly. At the same time, our rehydration through the in the form of water or some decoctions and all, we are maintaining in equilibrium with the help of this transepidermal water loss principle. So if some patients are dehydrated due to contact with sun, or if they are working outside in a hot temperature, hot climate, their skin is continuously getting water loss. At the same time, our skin is trying to normalize that atmosphere with the help of some food items. So that functional integrity should be normalized with the help of the food items that we are intaking. Vegetables and the fruits can supplement the functional and structural integrity, and by that we can maintain the transepidermal water loss. Probiotics, already I have described about these probiotics, means the food items that can support the common cells, that the bios living inside our body. Sometimes that may be the gut bacteria, sometimes that may be the common cell fungus growing in our skin. They are not activated by, they are laying deactivated by the probiotic items. Otherwise, if they are not getting proper probiotics, they will get activated, and that will create some fungal infective diseases. So role of probiotics is very relevant, and that will support their role, repair and healing Immunomodulation also is very relevant. Maintenance of circulation is relevant. Prevention of deterioration. Mainly in dehydrated, aged skin, senile skin, we are seeing the deterioration, the gradual deterioration, and exacerbated mode. That will aggravate. The deterioration will aggravate if we are not supplementing proper food items. So, if we are providing proper food items rich in microelements, vitamins, and all with bioenhancers, that is very relevant. If you are not prescribing or advising medicines without bioenhancers, that will not reach up to the tissue level. So, we have to supplement microelements and vitamins, fat, minerals, and proteins with the help of this type of bioenhancers. That is the main principle behind the dietetics in skin diseases. So, based upon these principles, we can advise the patient to take certain items that are pathyas and avoid some items that are apathyas. Otherwise, the chances of aggravation with our medicines is very relevant. So these are the basic principles. I am concluding now. I am concluding the session, and we can continue the session with the help of your questions. I think there may be the chance of so many questions will be there because the food items using in our native place will be varied from Kerala. So I don't know whether they are suitable or not suitable. If you ask questions, if I know the relevant questions, I will answer now. If the food items I know, I will explain. So let me conclude here, and you